And I remember reading this statement that to help restore a human being back to health is as noble as to create. And I thought that was very powerful, because only person that could create is our good Lord, our higher being. So I was always impressed with that. I'm an Aquarian too, and part of that is that we like to help people.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Did you have a problem leaving the neighborhood? Because I know a lot of people who grew up there really didn't want to leave that area.
No, I didn't want to leave. You learn two things hanging on that corner with those people across the street. One was respect, and the other was loyalty. Two very important things in life, actually.
One of the reasons you really took to the streets, I'm sure that was just a neighborhood thing anyway. Was it because of the way your father treated you, and you were out there like looking for acceptance? And
no, my mother saved my life.
Yeah,
my mother saved my life. And then when I got up to a certain age, I just isolated my father.
How long did you go without talking to your father?
Oh God, when I was in college.
Yeah. And you go away to, what you told me the college, was it LaSalle?
Villanova,
that's it. Villanova. And what did you initially want to go? Did you always, I'm sure therapist wasn't your lifelong dream.
Initially, I wanted to be a pediatrician, believe it or not. My cousin was a pediatrician. My uncle was a pediatrician.
That's from hanging around the Catholic Church too much.
It's affinity for children.
But I couldn't get the money to go to medical school. So my cousin Arthur went, a friend of ours went, and they went, but I didn't have the money.
So as you're in college, young man,
yep.
I would, a Newark kid going out to Villanova.
Yeah.
And you had no idea, because I used to wear my leather jacket, and I still had my hair swooped back with my brajol hanging down. But
he didn't stick out like a sore thumb.
And I met a friend, another guy was from Long Branch, whose father was connected. So it just happened that way. And then a buddy of mine from high school, who was an All-American runner, Jerry Krumike, he kind of put Essex on the map. He was once the third fastest man in the world.
Wow.
There was Paul, what was his name?
The guy who ran the 4-minute mile?
There was Paul Drayton. No, these guys were sprinters. I think 100, 220. I don't remember. Frank Budd, Paul Drayton, Jerry Krumike. That's how they used to finish.
Oh.
So what did you find did you find a path when you were in college?
Drinking. Yeah, pretty much.
Drinking. And what years are we talking about now?
1962 to 66.
62 to 66, you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
And wild times, a little bit more freedom.
I really can't talk about that. All I can tell you is toga parties. That's it.
Yeah.
So Animal House was real?
Oh yeah.
Oh my.
Even at Villanova.
In some respect, Villanova was known as a drinking school, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what the college I went to, Fairleigh. When I was a freshman there, it was like top 5 rated in Playboy as party school. I remember the kegs being outside of the dorms.
Yeah.
But then things changed when I think some kid
got hurt or killed or
died or something.
Alcohol poisoning.
How come you never heard that when you were going to college? Some kid, everybody gets drunk,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know. Was that around? Because I always like to try to figure out what college is like in my parents' time. Because your parents will tell you, I wasn't like that. But bullshit, you were like that. I've talked to enough, like Bob Gibson, the World War II vet we had in here. He was like that. He was like that, absolutely. They're in France on downtime, and he just smiled. And so, yeah, I always like this.
Stole a Mercedes.
And then, so you graduate with what kind of degree?
A bachelor. Yeah, bachelor in psychology.
Bachelor in psychology. What led you to psychology?
I found it interesting. I had a friend there that was his father was a psychiatrist. And we used to talk to him, and his father used to come and just found an interest in it.
Yeah, it's
It was
and
helping people. You know, there was a philosopher, Voltaire, and I remember reading this statement that to help restore a human being back to health is as noble as to create. And I thought that was very powerful, because only person that could create is our good Lord, our higher being. So I was always impressed with that. I'm an Aquarian too, and part of that is that we like to help people.
Yeah.
I enjoy helping people. I do. I always wanted to hit the lottery. So
Don't we
that
all? I'm still doing it.
Well, so that I wouldn't have to take insurance, and I could see people for nothing. I love what I do. I save lives. There's nothing more.
100%.
You save one life, and it's to me it's miraculous.
So Mike and I have gotten a little taste of the joy, because I know why you got into psychology, but Mike and I have gotten a little taste with this show, and it like something as simple today. I had a friend of mine, he fell off the wagon, and he knows I'm sober, and he knows I don't touch it, and he fell off the wagon. He's really hard on himself. He's only 4 months sober. And, 4 to 6 months is usually the testing period. I remember, I learned stuff. I did listen to you. I just didn't break balls when I saw you. He fell. And I said, look, okay, don't beat yourself up. We all fall. It's just how you pick yourself up.
Right.
And just talking him through that sticky spot. And this is not a guy that I know very well. This is a guy who reached out through the show. And I got to be honest with you, as much as he needed somebody to listen to him just to unleash his stuff, I said, well, your sobriety starts right now. Starts at this moment. You're at step one. You're at ground zero. And when he got it, you could tell he was understanding what I was saying. The feeling of that, I don't think there's any drug in the world that can recreate that.
No.
I don't know. You were a child of the 60s, so you might say different.
I was we didn't even get to Woodstock yet.
By the way, so that's a good point, Mike. Dr. Stefanelli
The
is
esteemed Dr. Stefanelli, who works for the state PBA. Cop doc.
If you walk into Dr. Stefanelli's office in a frame right above the couch is a ticket to Woodstock. 3 tickets to Woodstock at $8 a piece. 6. And and I had never really met anybody prior to you that had been to Woodstock. And knowing you as well as I know, you I don't know, maybe you fit the mold back then, but you didn't fit the mold to me, what I thought the type of person that would go to Woodstock. How did that all come about?
There was a big concert that was supposed to go up in New York State. And so some buddies of mine said, hey, let's go to that concert. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild.
Gazger's Farm.
And there was great groups. I mean, there were great,
yeah.
and they were every one of them was good. The best was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
When he did the national anthem.
So you actually lived history and saw Jimi Hendrix do the national anthem. How close were you?
Oh, Jesus, I don't know, maybe 100 yards from between 75 and 100 yards from the stage. But you could walk around, sort of.
Yeah.
So if you think about the amount of yards that a Jets running back gets in a season, that's about how far you were from the stadium.
The stage.
The stage.
There was no stadium. There was just a stage.
And a field.
And a field, it was filled with people. There were people. I mean, you were shoulder to shoulder.
So let me set the stage on that one. Jimi Hendrix comes out. Obviously, he's a big star at that time.
Yes.
He comes out. You don't know what he's going to do, and he plays this melody on the electric guitar, unlike anything anybody's ever
ever
heard.
hear it?
Oh, of course.
Thousands of times.
This was unlike anything anybody had ever heard come out of a guitar. It's almost like he was making the guitar sing. And what was the crowd's reaction? You're standing in the crowd and you're watching this. Was the gravity of that moment? Were you aware of that gravity of that moment when it was happening? Because you're watching this guy do something that nobody's ever done. You're watching history. Mm-hmm. You're a spectator to history.
That's part of American history right there.
Absolutely. What was the reaction of the crowd around you while he's playing that song?
Everybody was just cheering. They were going wild.
Yeah.
And I remember this. Everybody was
Stoned out of their minds.
pretty
Naked.
much. I didn't see one fight there. There were 500,000 people.
Yeah.
Strong argument for the legalization of marijuana, I guess.
Well, they were smoking weed. When we got there, the fences were down. That's why I have my tickets.
Oh, really? 'Cause you didn't even need them.
No, you didn't need tickets. See, people were just piling in, and the state troopers were around. People were smoking.
Yeah.
What were they going to do?
There's certain tickets like that, and I understand why you have it. Like, I got a buddy of mine that's got a ticket for Elvis for August 22nd, 1977 in Nassau Coliseum. And obviously that concert didn't happen, and they offered to buy the ticket back and give him a refund, but who's going to give up that ticket? Elvis, the king is dead. Don't even ask him. I already know what you're going to ask him. Because how do you ask somebody with a vowel at the end of their name who's better, Elvis or Frank Sinatra?
They were better. They were both best in what they did.
Elvis was better.
Elvis was a rock and roll singer. Frank Sinatra was, he was a tenor.
But Elvis is better.
Sorry, Doc. We're going to have to hold you to an answer.
Got to break the tie.
Don't do the doctor thing on us.
Don't use your psychology skills on us.
We're going to put
give
you
a damn answer.
I'm going to put you right on the spot.
Want to repeat the question?
Elvis or Frank Sinatra?
Elvis.
Thank you. Finally, somebody who came to their senses, a doctor no less.
He smoked pot at Woodstock. You think he's all that smart?
But that was real pot. That wasn't this crap that they're manufacturing today. It was real pot. But so what's the craziest thing you saw at Woodstock? Besides people that didn't have any clothes on.
And we're sliding into mud that was
Yeah.
filled with piss.
Yeah, well, that was, yeah. I don't know. I just there was so many people there, and there wasn't any arguments or fighting, because everybody was in La La Land.
Aside from Jimi Hendrix, who was your favorite that came up on stage? Sha Na Na.
Janis Joplin.
Yeah,
Yeah, people don't know that Sha Na Na actually played at Woodstock.
I like Sean. I liked
Janis Joplin.
Janis Joplin. Yeah, she was one of my favorites.
I know the Doors weren't allowed to play there
No.
because Jim Morrison had just been arrested in Miami or something like that, and they were afraid there was going to be an incident.
I saw them in Vermont.
The Doors?
Yeah, God, in this. I guess it was the late '60s.
It would have been great if they were able to come, but I mean, you got
I'm sure there was no fights at that one either.
No,
Crosby, Stills, and Nash there, and Young. Was Young with them at that time?
I don't remember. I think it was Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
And that album still sits today as one of the most sold albums of all time, The Live from Woodstock.
That was a good album.
And then they tried to redo it in '99, and
No, I was.
Couldn't do it.
You can't duplicate things like that.
Plus, it's a different breed of people.
Yeah,
It's a total different.
mentality is totally different.
Those were the hippies, the peace loving.
Right.
And this day and age, never happened.
But the hippies showed up in droves for that concert. But there was a lot of people like we have a friend whose father was connected, was driving his family to Woodstock because again he heard there was going to be this big concert. They never were able to get there, but it
The
seemed
traffic was brutal.
they said people got there, but you were there for the full 3 days.
Yeah,
Where'd you sleep?
on the ground.
And where'd you go to the bathroom?
We had a tent.
On the ground.
Oh well, everybody. The bathroom facilities were gone. They were just filled to the brim.
Oh my gosh!
So, but there were woods around, so people just walk into the woods and do what they had to do.
Well, they said most of the food and everything was gone too, right?
Everything was gone.
So what did you do for food?
We brought some stuff, but we didn't eat.
What happened when you got the munchies?
Just got high, walked around, picked berries.
I heard there was some mushrooms that everybody could eat.
Yeah, really. Well, you don't eat those mushrooms.
And don't eat the brown acid, right?
Yeah, don't eat them.
Don't eat the brown acid.
Well, you know what? The hippies came in these buses, all painted up. They came in with bales of marijuana.
The little Volkswagen vans.
They had a bummer tent. They had a tent set up for people that were doing acid. I never did. I just smoked weed. But they had a bummer tent. They had a medical tent, and they had another tent. That was the other one.
Sex tent.
No,
No, I was.
You didn't need a tent, bro. People were getting laid next to you.
I
Okay.
was just gonna say that was called the lawn.
Not for nothing. Everybody's so happy. They really didn't shiver it, so they just jumped on each other. It was crazy.
I don't know. It's a foreign concept to me. Do you think it was a